Well, time now for Focus, and today we head to the Iranian capital, where the world's top tourism professionals will be meeting this week. Well, following the nuclear deal that changed the country's image, the Islamic Republic has become a top destination for foreign visitors. The problem, though, is there aren't enough hotels. Beyond that, there's still a little Iranophobia to contend with. Our correspondent sent us this report.
But they also had no idea.
It's billed as one of the biggest conferences of the year. The theme, See Iran Differently. Iran's largest conglomerates are present, along with a number of foreign companies. They've come to see for themselves the country that became the #1 destination for French travelers in 2016. The conference organizer says Iran is in the midst of a tourist boom.
It's almost like when we were in Russia 15 years ago, and the lack of international brands in that marketplace. Now we're seeing the same thing here in Iran as sanctions have been starting to lift. Of course, that makes it interesting for the investment community to come in and start to look at this opportunity here.
More than 5 million tourists visited the country in 2015, catching the hospitality industry unprepared. Today, the country is still several thousand hotel rooms short. To attract foreign investment, the Islamic Republic is offering tax exemptions of between 5 and 13 years. The Accor Group has become the largest international hotel group in the country after the lifting of sanctions in January of 2016. They plan to build 100 hotels within 10 years.
Until recently, there was not a lot of tourism here. So there's opportunity for a business like Accor that knows the steps a country can take to make an economic leap using hospitality and tourism. There is remarkable potential in this region.
Change is also coming by bringing existing hotels up to the standards and tastes of international tourists. But the conference's main attraction is this sightseeing bus. Common on the streets of London, it made its first appearance on the streets of Tehran in March. Its operators want people to see the capital, which is often overlooked in favor of historic cities like Isfahan.
To be honest, it's one of the best. I mean, in Iran we have Isfahan and Shiraz as well, but since we are receiving most of the flights coming to Tehran, normally all of the tourists, they're going to spend 1 or 2 days in Tehran. That's why it's a really good chance for them to see the attractions of Tehran as well.
And a good chance for you too.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Some here can't wait to put a different face on their country.
Does anyone know what Iranophobia is? Very negative, very destructive images and misinformation about Iranian women, about the state of Iran, public safety-wise. Does anyone know any other examples of Iranophobia?
Several years ago, Navid started a Facebook group called See You in Iran. It's a platform to reassure tourists and put Iran's best face forward. On the strength of the page's nearly 100,000 members, he's just opened this youth hostel to put foreign tourists in touch with Iranians. With concerts, expositions, and film screenings, his goal is to break preconceptions.
Having a place for a country which is called Iran that has been suffering from isolation for almost 3 decades. I think it's going to be a unique place to have people from different backgrounds, different stories to share, and just try to see if there's any way to fill the gap that has been existing between Iran and the rest of the world.
The offer is appealing. At 15 euros per night, rooms are in high demand. Tourists leave with experiences far from the cliched notions they arrived with.
I had to reassure my parents, particularly my mother, because even after everything I could tell her about the other side of Iran, the things most people don't know, well, she was still worried. But I think that's all changing since tourism in Iran is exploding. In a few years, everyone will know someone who has been to Iran and brought back great photos and stories.
So honestly, I'm just a little bit happy about it because of this. Iran has been really untouched by tourism and by the bad, a bad influence of tourism. Because all of the people, they're so nice, they're happy to see people from other countries. I'm being approached, being talked to every day 20 times or more. The locals are taking pictures with me because they're just so happy to see someone from another country.
When you see all these beautiful images and lots of people are coming, it's like, why not? And I want to be part of that, like to show the people and pictures of what's going on in Iran.
The Islamic Republic is hoping to build on this tourist windfall as it brings in millions of dollars annually. By 2025, Iran expects to welcome 20 million tourists every year.
Today's Focus report coming from our team on the ground in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Well, to talk more about Iran, Thierry Colville is a research fellow at IRIS and a specialist on the country. He joins us in the studio now. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Colville. The nuclear deal that was signed recently, talk us through how it's opened the doors to Iran, if you will.
I think it's really a kind of psychological effect. I think suddenly people have realized that, you can go to Iran. So I think Iran has not really changed after the deal, but I think there is suddenly a willingness to go there. And as exactly it was said, in the film, people are just discovering a country which is so different from the image they had that they are telling maybe their friends, their family coming back to their own country. And so people are coming. So it's a very positive dynamic.
Now, one particular expert has said that tourism is the driving engine that will get Iran out of its recession, if you will. Is that a stretch? Can Iran begin now relying on tourism a great deal more?
No, I don't think so. I think there are a lot of other sectors that should drive the Iranian economy. But I think it's going together. I think Iran has to open to the rest of the world. So it's true for, maybe the energy, the car industry. It's true for tourism. There is the issue of, investing more in hotel in Iran, as it was said, training people to be more consumer-oriented, to have more expertise of dealing with, Western tourists. It's just a question, the country getting used to new process of dealing with especially, economic flows, people coming especially from the West.
Now, it was touched on in that report, and you just spoke about it, a lack of infrastructure, if you will, the lack of hotels. It's quite difficult to find somewhere to stay. Equally, transportation, routes not being perhaps properly available yet for people to get around the country freely. Do you think that the Iranian government is prepared to invest the money to ensure that those things are put in place over the next few years?
Yes, I mean, you have to be honest. In terms of transport, Iran is quite okay. I mean, I've been in Iran a lot of times. In terms of air transport, the planes, you can go everywhere in Iran. People are using more the train. So I think, no, it's okay. No, I think they want to invest. They had already a lot of plans to develop infrastructure, to build more airports, to build more roads. Because due to the sanctions, they lost nearly a quarter of their budget. So now they have more money. And the one area what they want to spend is infrastructure. So whatever happens in terms of the tourism sector, no, they need in fact to invest in the railway system, airport, road, energy, water, which is a big issue in Iran. So they have a lot of plans to invest. Yeah.
Well, they're talking about welcoming 20 million tourists by 2025, and the hopes that the industry can grow to a $30 billion industry.
Yes, I would be a bit skeptical in a sense that it was really well said. I don't see Iran becoming a place for mass tourism, like maybe Greece, for example. It's maybe due to the equilibrium that the government wants to keep in place. It's still an Islamic country, so just to say you cannot drink alcohol in a restaurant. So, but I see Iran opening more. I think it's really a country where people should go. They will see such a big difference between, what the image and the reality. So there will be more and more tourism. And there are a lot of areas where Iran can develop tourism in terms of, skiing, a lot of ski resorts. In terms of cultural, they can show such a diverse country in cultural views. There are a lot of places which are really untouched by tourism in Iran, like the north of Iran, southwest of Iran. So they can really develop a real, opening for tourism. And one positive impact that can have, it's on employment, that can help really to create more jobs in Iran. And let's say job now creation is the most pressing issue for the Iranian government, with an unemployment rate, especially for young graduates. So maybe, yes, the development tourism sector could be a good opportunity to provide jobs for these people.
There was one concept that was discussed in that report, and I saw you nodding, Iranophobia. What are for somebody who's visited the country quite a few times, what are some of the misconceptions that you think exist regarding the country?
Oh, you have to read, Not Without My Daughter from Betty Mahmoudi. That's Iran is the opposite. So if young people took things which were true, but that was just a very small part of the reality of Iran. So as nobody went to Iran, as an expert, you could say, no, Iran is different. People would say, yeah, but we don't know. No, the reality is completely different. It's an open society, a very modern society, with women having a very active role. We have 50% of women students in Iran universities. You can meet women who are, entrepreneurs in Iran. You have no more women in the Iranian parliament than religious people. So you are surprised in Iran of the modernity of the thinking of the people. So Iran is not the paradise on earth, but it's a complete opposite of this, image of Iran as a completely archaic and radical country. And the way you can see the hospitality of the people, the way they feel toward Westerners, especially with French people, they are so warm and willing to talk. So what is striking in Iran is really the hospitality and the modernity of the thinking. So it's exactly, as was said, the opposite of this, very bad image of Iran.
Very, very quickly, is Iran safe to go to?
Yes. As any country, you go in the southeast border where you have drug trafficking, close to Balochistan, where nearly nobody goes, you take risks. But if you stay in the mainland, you have, as everywhere, you have to be careful of what you do in terms of, not showing too much, showing off your money and so on. But most of the time, Iran is very secure.
Okay, Thierry Corville, you're a specialist on Iran. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Welcome.